So before we jump into a tangent, we're just going to jump into the meat and the potatoes of the podcast, which is talking about Fear Street, the phenomenal supernatural slasher film trilogy that released in 2021 on Netflix. And it was directed by Leigh Janiak. Janiak? I hope I said that last name right. And it is based off of a book series by the same name written by R.L. Stine. And this, trilogy this trilogy is set in the small town of Shadyside. Not Sunnyside, Shadyside. And the trilogy follows a curse that has been taking over the town for far too long. Centuries, even. And the movie follows finding out about the curse, finding the truth of the curse, and then breaking the curse in that order. And I have to say, usually I can handle a slasher. You know what I mean? Like, you know what you're signing up for if you're watching a horror movie. Either somebody's getting possessed, someone's gonna die. There's some kind of suspense in there, and they're going to be twist. So you kind of prepare yourself for this. But I don't think I was really ready for everything that happened in these three movies. Especially the second one. I feel like the second one is the bloodiest.
Second one is definitely the bloodiest, for sure. And I think the director actually said, because I think they filmed them out of order, and I think the 1978 was filmed last. And in an interview with Collider, I think she even said that by the end of the filming, because they filmed all three back to back, so by the time they got to 1978 and they were filming some of those last scenes, which are probably the most gruesome, she kept saying that she was just so tired. So whenever the crew would come up to her and ask for notes, she would just be like, just do more blood, more gore. I can't even talk right now. And so they just kept it rising, and I think that's why it's so bloody and so outrageous.
She's just heighten it. Don't ask me for anything specific. Just put more in it. Gosh, we're trying to make a horror movie here, and I can't think. Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely the bloodiest and the most, the craziest in terms of the kills, for sure.
Yeah. Yes, we're going to get started talking about it. We're going to start with part 1 in 1994. And I just want to say, I love that a lot of slasher films follow the Scream formula. And what I mean by that is that you take your most recognizable actor and you kill them straight up in the beginning. It's they're gone. We did it in Fear Street. They did it in Bodies. The first one that they gotta go. And then you're oh, we're in it. No one is safe.
This is real. The stakes are high.
Yeah.
I love that opening. And honestly, it's it's so good. I could go off about days, which I probably will go off about the opening scene because I love the opening scene so much.
I mean, tell us, what do you love the most about the opening scene? Hold on, I can't hear you.
I'm so sorry.
Okay.
I'm just going off, and you're not even hearing what I'm saying.
No.
I love the neon mall aesthetic. I love the dress that she's in. I love just all the lighting, what it establishes from the very start. I feel like all of the films have a theme to it, and I feel like 1994 specifically, they really own their theme. They really just go full speed ahead with their tone and everything. So I love that specifically. I also love how they start with the phone call scene. Like you said, it's an obvious homage to the original Scream movie with the Drew Barrymore as Casey scene. And I don't know how many people noticed, but when the phone rings in the opening sequence of Fear Street 1994, it's actually the exact same soundbite from the Scream movie. That ringtone is exactly the same.
Seriously?
Yeah,
Damn.
Hold on. I can actually play it for you. One sec. Wait, I'm dying. This is so funny.
That is actually so cool. I didn't know that.
It's exactly the same. Hold on. I might blow my speaker, but let's see. You hear that?
Oh my
That's
gosh,
Scream.
You're right.
That's Scream. And then if I go...
If you enjoy watching these highlights, subscribe to the channel and turn on post notifications so you know when a new video is uploaded.
Fear Street. Here, let's see. My Hawk's dancing right now. One second.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
It's the
Oh,
exact same ringtone.
yes.
Like
Yes, it
exactly the same.
is. Oh my gosh.
So
Wow.
I love like those little details, and that's one of the
Uh-huh.
reasons why I love this opening scene so much, because it's just like boiling and bubbling and brimming with all of these little details. Like that's one of the reasons why I think it's so good. And I
Mm-hmm.
love how they start with that, because I feel like a lot of horror movies can fall into these regular tropes, and a lot of the times we're watching and we're like, oh, like we clock it immediately, like oh, they're pulling from that movie or they're copying that movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like when they start and they do like a respectful homage to the genre or to the predecessors in the genre, it kind of makes the viewers or the audience or the fans be like, oh, like they have permission to go and play with the rest of the film in a sense. It doesn't feel like it's a cheap like a copy of what they're doing in something like Scream. That's
Mm-hmm.
one of the reasons why I love it so much. They do it in like a respectful, fun way, and they're like,
Yeah.
okay, now I'm gonna spin it even more. Because even when she's on the phone, spoiler alert for anybody that has not seen the film, but by the end of the movie, obviously we know what's going on with the curse and the witch, and when she's on the phone with her friend Ryan, it just begs the question, because in the original Scream movie, Casey doesn't know that she's on the phone with the killer,
Mm-hmm.
and Maya Hawke's character Heather also doesn't know that she's on the phone with the killer when Ryan calls.
Mm-hmm.
And because he gets possessed, like at some point in this opening scene, we don't even know if he knows that he's the killer.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like a fun little twist, and I love that so much. It's one of the reasons why this stands out to me, because they do the same thing that they do in Scream, but they twist it a little bit by adding in the possession.
Yeah. That is so true because I remember watching the movie for the first time and seeing Ryan with the hood on. I was like, hold on. Y'all were just buddy
Yeah.
buddies a second ago, and now you're killing her. This is terrible. What kind of beef you got?
Yeah.
Like, it was so crazy to me. And that reminded me of something that I heard in like a YouTube video recently where in Scream, like you said before, Drew Barrymore, her character, when she's on the phone, she doesn't know she's talking to the killer. And it's basically like this weird kind of like theme where you don't really know who's on the other line. You don't know who's behind the mask. You don't know who to trust. And there's that sense of like paranoia and fear that kind of settles in and kind of eats away at you. And that feeds into the fear you feel when you're watching the movie itself. Because in Fear Street, the killer can be anybody, really. Because after you watch the first movie, you're like, watching the second movie, you're like, okay, well, who's the killer now? Like, who's it gonna be? Like, of
Yeah.
course, like, a lot of people first assume it's the nurse. And I assumed it was the nurse too, right? But it wasn't. And in watching the first movie, that's what reminded me of Scream. Because I remember when I watched Scream for the first time, I was, like, shocked by the twist. But when you're watching horror movies, you don't really know what to expect. You're there to lend yourself to the story and see where it goes. Even if you try to predict what's going to happen before, I love it when horror movies keep on your toes and they're not predictable. Like they're original, they have really good twists, and it shocks you in a way where it's not just for shock value or for cheap shots, but it's a way that feeds into the story and it's like, damn, how did I miss that? Like, how did I see that? And that's what I love about Free Street and just like horror movies in general. Like I like that feeling of like who can you trust? You know what I mean? You just have to like really like
Yeah.
lean into the story. You know? Yeah.
Oh, I totally agree. I think they do that really well in this movie, and I think that's why I love it so much, and one of the reasons it stands out so much is because
Mm-hmm.
it's full of twists, and it's a bunch of twists you don't see coming. Like, especially in the second one, which we'll get to, obviously, but I feel like the whole trilogy is just full of moments like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And Fear Street is a lot like Scream and also a little bit like Halloween where the town is dangerous and people still live there, you know. Like Shadyside has been dubbed the murder capital of the United States, despite the fact that like the
Yeah.
neighboring town Sunnyvale is like one of the richest and safest towns in the country, and so obviously like Shadyside and Sunnyvale people hate each other for that reason because like it was said in the scene at the memorial, um, if somebody dies every week in your town, like, at this point,
something's wrong.
What are we
really
doing?
Wrong.
What's going on?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What are the police up to? What are they doing?
Yeah. At that point, it's kind of like, I mean, now y'all got to step it up. I mean, you may as well have the SWAT team in here, because
yeah,
something's amiss in this town. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so there's a murder in the mall, and Maya Hawke is dead. R.I.P. Girl, we love you.
Yeah, gone too soon.
Gone way too soon. And then, we have the teen angst of Dina having broken up with her girlfriend Sam and her brother Josh, who is the typical nerd that stays in the room and knows everything about the town history and has no friends. So, of course, he's obsessed
That's
with...
me. That's me. I relate to Josh. That's literally me.
I love Josh's character. I also love that actor because I've seen him in like a couple other things. So to see him in Fear Street is so much fun. Because when I see young actors in like horror movies, it's fun to me. But it's also scary, because it's like, oh, they get to do like this fun little like role. But it's also like, I don't want you to die. Please.
Yeah. No. I
yeah.
100% agree. He's just so lovable in that movie, and just seeing him in danger, you're like, no, please,
like,
don't take this little boy away.
No. I remember, like, as I was watching the movie, I was like, oh my gosh, one of these people are gonna die. I was like, oh my god, why'd they kill the child? They won't do that. And I was like, wait, no, hold on.
The kids are not safe
in
this trilogy.
No one is safe in that town.
One of the things I love about it, because you think in like the Halloween movies, kids are always safe. Like Michael Myers himself, like won't kill babies or kids or anything like that. But in this movie, the kids, if you're a kid, basically that's your sentence. Like you're done.
Yeah.
If you're under 18, it's over. Like,
listen, equal opportunity. Everyone can get it. All right.
Fear Street put ageism to rest. They were like, it does not matter how old you are, you're gonna die. Period.
You say the children are your future. I say the children are the victims. All right. It is what it is. Simply that. If you're in my way, you're getting got.
And even like going back to the opening scene when Maya Hawke's character is killed, like that scene to me is actually really sad, because when we're talking about the reveal and it turns out to be Ryan or whatever, they don't play like in a movie that's like another scary movie like Halloween or The Exorcist or any of those other like slashers like Friday the 13th. They're gonna play like the scary theme. And the one thing I love about Fear Street is they don't actually play a scary song, or they don't play any like frightening music in that scene. They actually play like the sad Sarah Fear theme, just kind of drive that point home that this is the first time we're seeing the curse in action, and the actual cost of the curse, which is this girl is being killed by one of her closest friends. So that's like another tidbit that I love, that I feel really establishes the life of a Shady-Sider going into the rest of the movie. Because like you said, that element of surprise, that element of like who can you even trust is there from the very beginning. And it's like as soon as you are established as a Shady-Sider, that's the only target that you need on your back. Everything else, regardless of how old you are, where you come from, what you look like, it's all fair game. If you're a Shady-Sider, you can go through what Maya Hawke's character goes through at the very beginning.
Yeah. And that has to be heartbreaking to be like someone so young. Like, it's hard enough trying to be a teen in America. All right?
Yeah.
Kids got it tough enough, but every other week, one of your classmates dies, and then it could be you. You could be murdered by someone you know. That's tough. Like,
yeah, anxiety on a whole other level.
Like all the people in Fear Street, everyone in like Shadyside needs like this would be the perfect time for like a BetterHelp sponsorship. Everyone needs therapy, which is why you should get BetterHelp.
They definitely need therapy. Those people, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, Shadyside.
I mean, at this point, people are fighting at Memorial. It's like, y'all are really, like, a town on its knees. Like, y'all really need some help out here. And I mean, I feel for you. I do. Okay, so I'm going to be honest. The first part, like, the first movie, I feel like we could kind of just, like, run through it overall. So, you have the tailgating party. Well, not the tailgating party, the memorial. And then they crash into the bus. Not crash into the bus, like, the car crashes.
They throw the Gatorade and then the car goes off the road.
Yeah.
Absolute disaster of a moment.
Yes. Sam survives and sees the vision of Sarah Fire, which I'm not gonna lie, when I saw that I was like, oh, okay, so we're getting, glimpses into things. Okay. Since you're at the end of the video, don't forget to like the video and leave a comment down below. If you want early access to these highlights, join our Patreon. Patrons have access to our entire archive, including full-length videos. Patrons also have the opportunity to choose a topic for our podcast, and they get the opportunity to be a guest. Join now.